Metric Motorcycle Madness presents Honda Shadow VT1100 rear turn signal replacement. Hey guys, Metric Motorcycle Madness, another quickie video for you today. Today we're working on the Honda Shadow, the 1100. And we had a little whoopsie the other day and screwed up the fender, as you can see, tweaked the brake light, but screwed up the turn signals in the rear. So I'm making a turn signal replacement video. So we've got a new set here, and this is pretty much the same process as we've done in the past before, but I'm going to show you anyways. Okay, so with this seat, I'm just going to remove this bolt, and that's all I need. If you have a standard seat, you may need to remove the two bolts on the other side, and I don't have bolts there for mine, so I can't tell you what it is. So first of all, remove the seat, remove any saddle bags. If you have hard bags, you'll have to remove those. If they get in your way, these little ones will just come off here. So this is not the original fender. This was kind of idiot rigged on here by the previous owner. So as you can see, there's some clusterfuckedness right there. They just basically drilled sideways into the fender for these studs to fit. So there's no bolts on the outside. They're just carriage bolts, I believe these are. And on the back end is where the nuts are to take them off. So you've got 1, 2, and then 3. These two attach to fender, I believe, and then this attaches to the subframe or the frame. And trying to see, hopefully what we'll be able to do is just, I'm thinking is just remove the fender and pull it down and out, because if you were to remove these grab bars entirely, as you can see, they're bolted on behind the shocks. So that would require jacking the bike up and removing at least the top bolt of the shocks here to do that, and I'd prefer not to do that. So hopefully we can just remove the fender and pull it up and out of the way. So I'm going to remove some of the clips for the wiring and the brake light and things like that, and then I'm going to see what size nuts are on the back here. Well, the nuts on the back end here behind the fender are coming off with a 9/16 wrench. I'm not sure if these are the original nuts or not. Normally I would think these would be metric, so they've probably been replaced. They could be, these could not be the original bolts perhaps. So anyways, we're going to go ahead and remove the nuts from here, and then we'll probably remove it from the front frame, and obviously they're on both ends. So yeah, those are carriage bolts. Definitely not a hole for carriage bolts. That looks like it was idiot rigged to be like that. So yeah, not the original bolts here. That would explain why this is like it is. Alright, so we're going to keep removing these now. I'll show you how idiot rigged this fender is after. Anyways, so trying to pull these out, they were actually getting caught in here, so I had to hammer at the lip with a screwdriver to pry these out. The nuts are off, it's just that's what's holding it up. So we should be good to remove the fender once we pull the last bolt out, and then we can start disconnecting the wiring to these hopefully and unbolting them. Yeah. So I popped the fender down, I'm about to pull it out. This one is still stuck in here, I'm going to have to hammer it out. I already had, due to rewiring my taillight, obviously not the stock taillight, the 3 wires coming off into a junction box, so I just unscrewed my 3 wires coming out for the brake light and disconnected. Now my fender's all set to come in and out, but yeah, we're going to have to hammer that out. Now we have access to removing these though, and accessing the wiring to replace the turn signals. Okay, so obviously not the same original fender, a little bit thinner than what it needs to be. And this was this guy's idea of how to drill holes for mounting. Yeah, I'm not gonna ride. I mean, I never do because of the seat, but I would never ride a passenger resting on the fender of this bike. This is fiberglass to begin with, but Jesus Christ, that's just those four little bolts holding this thing on. The fender's likely to frickin' snap. What a beat up piece of shit. Anyways, okay, so now what I'm gonna do, figure out what size nut I need for these. Obviously, depending on what turn signals you have, it's gonna be different. So it looks like 10 mil for these, and I'm gonna remove the stems, and then I'm going to disconnect the wiring. Surprise, surprise, another idiot rig job. These friggin' wires were just twisted together and duct taped. These set appeared to have a third wire, which is a ground. I'm not sure why they'd make a white with a yellow wire a ground. That's weird, but that's going to these little areas here. You have to figure out the wiring because these are only 2 wires coming off here. These do not work as running lights though, so I'm not sure why they... Anyways, you may have to remove this grommet that's sitting in there as well to make room for the new ones. We'll see. Keep note to the colors of the wiring. Got this orange one coming off the left, and it looks like a green in there coming off the bike. And let's see what the other side is like. So I'll have to pull the rubber grommet out that was already in there because there's not enough space for the threaded rod on the back otherwise. So there is going to be a little bit of a gap here on either end, or on one end, whatever I decide. Before I bother tightening this down, I'm going to attach the wires just quickly to here, up, and then try the turn signal to make sure everything works properly still. And then I'm going to go ahead and remove the other side, remove the wiring, and I'm going to get some connections on here to connect these up. And I'll connect them first, and then I will tighten these down, and then I can work on getting the fender back on. Yep, so I don't think we need that other ground. So the green coming off the bike is the negative, the orange is the positive. Coming off of these turn signals, that light blue is the positive, and the green is, of course, the negative. That seems to work just fine. Turning those on, they flash fine. So we're going to do that with the left side, and see if the wiring color may be a different color on the right side, so you can distinguish which set of wires that coming off the bike goes to where. And I can't really tell from here, but anyways, let's do the right side now. One thing I'm making sure to do here while I'm rewiring is making sure these clamps hold the wire against there, get clamped back down, because none of them were before. These 2 posts here, I would assume they were originally there for grounds, because as you can see, the hole here, the grommets in these turn signal designs were designed for this. But I'm just going to leave the nuts off. Those are rusted out and we don't need to use them. So, alright, so time to put some... what I'm going to do is cut these off. I don't like these crap connections. So I'm going to use some different connections, and then just as we discussed here, positive is the orange, negative is green, and then we got perfect blue on this side is your positive, and that's your negative in green. So pretty much just bolt down the other turn signal and connect these up properly, hide the wiring, and then the reverse. So as long as you're using automotive connections and not just friggin' tying wires together, you can use crimp connections like this. However, I'm going to use male and female end connectors, and then of course electrical tape over them so they don't ground out against the rails. Not duct tape, but or you can shrink wrap. But when it comes to these, I like having the ability to have these, because if I need to disconnect the turn signals for some reason, then I just have to remove the tape to get to them, and I don't have to cut wires all over again. So I'm going to wire those in. And I mean, at this point, I'm pretty much done. Other than reassembling the fender, you're just doing the reverse process. One thing I am going to do is make sure there's a lot of extra wiring here. And I don't want to necessarily cut these, but what I'm going to do is keep the length, wire that in, and then pull the wiring through into the wiring area in the box. So I'll have a little extra wiring in case I need it, and I won't have to do a whole bunch of cutting here. So just make sure they get routed fine and go around the holes. Note, I did figure out looking at these, they were not carriage bolts originally. Somebody actually hammered carriage bolts in to make that square so they wouldn't turn, and I don't know why. Normally they're socket cap screws on the outside, and then like if they don't screw into the frame here, then they'd be they would have nuts on the back end. I don't think the ones attaching these to the frame are the originals either, because typically they actually thread into the frame rather than stick out the side here, because even on the stock fender these would be poking into the fender. Dumb McGee just dremeled them out or ripped a hole in them or something so they'd fit. Oh well, we may end up going to the hardware store and actually getting some proper bolts to do this and reassembling it. But so just go ahead, and once you connect these, make sure that both flash correctly, and I've already tested both. So we're gonna go ahead and get this back together, and that's pretty much it, guys. Just do the reverse and you're all set. Alright, thanks for watching.